What's up, family? I hope you're doing well. I'm your boy G Sharp, and this is Sharp Boy Music YouTube channel. You're at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And guess what? Today is another day to grow. All right, so I'm gonna play the track. Um, it. Let's see if my scene is working. All right, so here is Logic Pro, and as you can see, I have a lot more instruments right here. Yesterday it was just like the basic drums and everything like that. So today I'm gonna play the track so that y'all can hear exactly how much of this I did. I'm almost finished with it. I have a couple more transitions that I have to do, but other than that, it is good to roll. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it. And like I say, everybody else that get on the live, they can hear it a little bit later. All right, here we go. Let's do the whole track. All right, here we go. Uh-oh, that's what it was. I'm like, what's going on? Because I know I built it to stop. All right, here we go. Smooth transition. So right here, I'm gonna throw in another transition in right here. All right, and that is pretty much the whole cue. I'm gonna go through it and kind of talk about it because everybody always asks me a question, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Basically, I've been taught that you need to make sure that you have enough pieces of music for editors to be able to cut to. So if they want to have one thing go to one scene and then they might want the music to build up somewhere else, they can do what they want with it. So anytime you are creating music for TV, you got to keep that in mind. And I always stress this to other people that, I'm helping out. The music is not about you. Yes, you have to be creative and it needs to sound good and it needs to sound polished and everything like that. But it's not about you. You're not taking away from what they're already putting out. So they already have a story to tell, and your job is to help enhance that story, not take away from that story. So I'm gonna talk about exactly why I did what I did. All right. So this first part, I'm gonna let y'all look at it. This first section right here. I'm gonna stretch it out so y'all can see. This right here is the intro. Make it short and sweet, straight to the point. It's kind of already given the basic theme or melody of the whole cue. And so it basically is like so that da 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 is just like a melody that I just came up with, that I was just like, you know what, this is going to be the theme for this particular thing, or this is going to be the tone or lead that's going to actually play out and remind people about what it is. All right. So after that, I go straight into what we call letter A. And so for some people that don't understand what letter A is, it can be considered a verse. All right. And then after that, we'll transition into A prime, which is the same thing as A, except it might have like a little couple changes, or it might add like little ear candy or certain things. So verse. Start light, because again, you're going to have dialogue going over this, so you don't want to be too busy. And remember, every 4 bars, change and add something else. So I added a pad right there with a shaker. And then we come in, A prime. More instruments, a little bit bigger. More, so every 4 bars, something different. There's that melody again. Da 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 da. Transition to the bridge. All right, this is my B. Totally different from A. Ear candy. Ear candy. Like I said, I'm gonna add a transition on here, play something else with that, and then come into a chorus. The A again. We have strings and we had a melody going on. Add the lead. And then we have it even bigger, more. We have the ending coming up with the stinger. Stinger. Right there. And so let it fade out just like that. You don't want it to ever just stop abrupt, or you don't want it to have a fade out where the whole song is fading out. Let the sound fade out so that they can fade out the scene with it. All right. Instrumentation. If you listen to a lot of my music, you are going to hear a lot of piano, because, you know, my thing is I'm a piano player. That's what I do. I love playing piano. So in a lot of my music, you're going to have Rhodes. You're going to have some type of piano going along with it. Now, when I started this song, the idea, like I told y'all, it came as sketching out what I need to sketch out, getting everything out of my mind before I lose it. And that's how I am. So I try to make sure that I get everything out first, and then I come back and I'll do some layers and stuff under there, like I showed y'all yesterday in the live yesterday. So for this particular song, I think I started with this right here, which was the Rhodes. And of course, that was just, now notice when I did the A, notice the basic chords, right? when I went to my A prime, it was a switch up with some embellishments. And then I think I did the same thing for, oh no, I switched it up on the bridge. So and when you're doing instrumentation, especially when you're doing piano and you're doing Rhodes, you want to make sure that you have space for everything. Any instrumentation, you want to have space for everything. Everything has to have its own place. So you don't want to make it super duper busy. So what I did for this right here, and I'm going to switch back to it, for both of these, Studio Grand and Rhodes together. Not too busy, making room for each other. The embellishments. Notice they both giving room to each other. One is playing here, one is playing there. Even when we go to the bridge. So the piano is taking over at this point. My brother Jeff, what's going on? Miss Toria, Ken, what's up, boy? All right, and so that is your space with those. And then on top of that, we had to add guitar in here somewhere. Where's my guitar? Right there. So let's do guitar, and let's hear how that sounds. And that also has to have its own place. So space. Bridge. Space. Not too busy. What's up, B? Good to see you, brother. All right. And then when I got here to the last chorus, I added this, but I added this only because I did it like another piano, but I added this because I wanted to accent that melody that we heard in the beginning. So this is what that sounds like. Da 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 da. And all that's doing is just mimicking all the rest of the instruments that's doing that. Let's see, I think I had all my leads doing it. And then I think I had some strings doing it also. So this is the start of it. And then I came back right here with the lead. And then if you really want to hear everything, I think I did it with the strings right here. So it makes it even bigger. And whenever you're doing this, you want to make sure that every instrument has its own place, has its own part, has its own space. And each section you're building every 4 bars, or if you're doing double time, every 8 bars that you have. All right. I'm going to play it again just so we can listen to all of them. Oh, and the last part, that stinger. I did the same thing that I kind of did in the beginning, but I had to end it. And when we say stinger, it's that the last note or the last beat, you have to have some type of hit or something that brings it out. So the intro. Now switch it up at the end. It's just. So you hear that, and then you just let it slide out. So I'm going to play it one more time from the top. All right, here we go. every 4 bars. Transition. Ear candy. And this only thing I do right here is make up some kind of melody coming in. Full out. Ending. And then just let it fade out by itself. And that is the whole thing. What's up, Ash? Good to see you, girl. So if you have questions or anything about this, man, like I said, I'm here to kind of explain everything. So if y'all have questions, y'all can put them in the chat and I will answer them right now while you're on here. Again, the name of this DAW is called Logic Pro. This is probably my second DAW that I really use. I use Studio One a whole lot, but for this particular album that I'm doing for this music library, I'm going to use Logic Pro because it's really growing on me because I really like it. The sounds that come in here are basically stock sounds. Not all of these are stock sounds, but majority of them that you hear, they're stock sounds. Let's see. Any questions in the chat? Somebody did ask me yesterday, how did I start in doing music for TV and film? Honestly, I had an old friend that I used to be super duper tight. He actually introduced me to sync, and like one of our first placements was like doing some stuff for Nickelodeon, Nick Jr. We did a couple commercials for them, and then I got to score an animation for them. It didn't get picked up, but that's kind of how I did. And then I ain't gonna lie, I took like a hiatus and kind of stopped doing stuff for a little minute. And I'm gonna come back and tell you, okay, how do you compare it to Pro Tools? I'm gonna say this, because I teach all of them have their niches and great things about them. Pro Tools is, of course, what they say is the industry standard. So I like recording vocals and everything into Pro Tools, and I like editing vocals in Pro Tools. As far as producing in Pro Tools, you would never catch me producing in Pro Tools. I'm not knocking Pro Tools, but I will say this, and I'm gonna switch the screen. For MIDI and MIDI instruments, Pro Tools is not what's up for me. Sometimes it could be laggy. It's not like plug and play. Like Logic is plug and play, and then Studio One especially is plug and play. So I would say, if I had to, say 1, 2, and 3, I ain't gonna lie. Number 1 and number 2 would be Logic, in Studio One, and then 3 would have to be Pro Tools. But as far as vocals wise, Pro Tools is hands down number one when it comes to recording vocals. Now, when it comes to me editing and processing them and everything like that, I use Studio One and I use Logic. Pro Tools is still good for that, but I mainly use it just to record vocals, and then I bounce down everything, all the stems, and then I send it to the different DAWs that I'm producing in, and then mix it like that. So that's how I do it. Thank you, Miss Nina. I see you up here. If y'all hear screaming in the background, that's my kids, you know. They doing their thing, doing their homework and having fun. My number one go-to, I ain't gonna lie, when it comes to really doing like piano and stuff like that, because somebody did ask a question about piano. I use something called Ravenscroft. It is, you use it through this VST called UVI, and I'll kind of show y'all that right fast. I'm gonna switch this one out. So UVI is a VST that kind of houses different instruments and stuff like that. And so I have this Ravenscroft 275, beautiful instrument. Now on this particular piece, I used the stock piano that was here for the piano part. But if you listen to this piano, like, it sounds really good. Let me unmute it. And it's just good for everything, jazz. It got that twang to it. It has all of that. So it's really good for anything that you want to use as far as playing, you know, piano parts and stuff like that. But the stock piano inside of Logic, it's the same thing. You ain't gonna get that in Pro Tools now. Pro Tools don't have none of these sounds like this. That's another reason why I like Logic. The stock sounds in Logic are top tier. So that's another reason why I like using Logic. The Rhodes that I used on here is the basic Rhodes that comes with it. And if you know how to use a Rhodes, you can tweak it and make it sound good. Pretty much almost all of them. And the only thing I did for this one was put that tremolo on, and that's it. But that's the stock sound. I didn't EQ it or anything like that. It sounds good out the box. Now, a lot of the sounds that I'm using, like for pads and stuff like that, is this program called, or this VST called Omnisphere. If you're not hip to Omnisphere, you need to get on that. Omnisphere is top tier when it comes to sounds and being able to be creative with sounds and create sounds from scratch. And I'll give you a demonstration on what it look like. Spectrasonics. All right. This is Omnisphere 3. So it came out last year, I think. This version of it. But you start off with, you know, whatever patch you want. And I'll just do all. And then you can just kind of listen to some of the sounds. Let me turn it down because it could get loud. Now you see it's doing it by itself, so they have some crazy cool sounds. And then you have basically 4 banks that you can choose from and create your, like, stack your sounds. So just like how we do it like on a motif or the Phantom, we have 4 different sounds that we can stack and then choose from. And it's from samples. You can use your oscillator, create, you know, different waves, sine wave, triangle, all that type of stuff, and you mix it all together. And like, they have a lot of great sounds on here. And let's go to Analog Vibes and see what they got up here. So you want to come from some of the 80s? And you just got to get in there and dig in. And I always tell people this, especially when I'm teaching my students, go learn your DAWs, go learn all your VSTs, go learn how to actually use these so that when, again, you're in front of somebody, you look competent and you understand how it goes, how it works. Or if you're looking for a particular sound or create your own sound, learn how to use it. Wait, I meant to show y'all this because I know I didn't switch over. So this is what Omnisphere looks like. I'm sorry. It looks like this. It's from a company called Spectrasonics. Let me not switch that sound. But it has a lot of stuff that you can mess with. Let me see some of the keyscape stuff. Or let's see, sonic extensions. A lot of these sounds could be for movies and stuff like that. And again, that's super loud. Let me turn it down. But it's craziness. And all you do is you should start mixing all the sounds together and creating your own patches for it. But super dope, though. Let me see if I have any other questions up in here. All right. If y'all have any other questions about doing music for Sync, I got a couple questions yesterday. Oh, let me finish telling y'all kind of how I got into Sync. So after I took my hiatus from Sync or from music in general, my wife encouraged me to get back into doing music. And after that, and like I was really thinking about giving up because at that point some stuff happened. But thought about giving up. She encouraged me to get back in. And I reached out to this guy. His name is Walter Bowie. We have kindred spirits. He's a PK. And if you don't know what a PK is, it's a pastor's kid, right? So my dad's a pastor. And his story, like, felt so just like mine. So he quit music, didn't want to do music for a long time. And then, Lord spoke to him and told him, hey, you need to be doing this. He got back into it. And I just happened to see him while my wife was encouraging me. I went to YouTube and started digging into sync music because I had heard about it. And I was like, let me get back into doing this and see what's up. And his videos was one of the videos that popped up, and it was an interview. And after watching the interview, I was like, man, I have to find this dude. And so I went looking on Facebook, couldn't find him. I went looking on Instagram, couldn't find him. And then I heard everybody talking about if you really want to get into sync music, you need to get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a spot where you can find all of the CEOs and top music supervisors and directors and everybody that you can think of that's in the music scene or the music supervision scene or stuff like that. They are on there. So I went there and searched for him, and I found him. And so when I found him, I reached out to him. It's like, hey, bro, your testimony is similar to mine. I want to connect with you and learn from you if I can. And I asked him, hey, would you mentor me? And so he was like, yeah, let me see what's up. And so usually he'll do like this 30-minute consultation. But after we talked, like we spent at least 2 hours on a Zoom call, like just talking about music and all kinds of stuff. And we just clicked. And so he hadn't heard any of my music. I didn't play any of my music for him. He just, through our conversation, we took a liking for each other. After that, he was like, man, I want you to send your music to this particular person once you feel like it's ready. And so, of course, while I was meeting with him, he was teaching me how to do sync music as far as arrangements and everything like that, because that's one thing that I didn't have. Like as a producer, we like to produce a certain type of way, but really understanding how sync works, it is a particular way that you have to create the music for TV and film and everything like that. Now, of course, they have similarities, but you just got to understand the details of everything. And so once I learned that, the guy that he told me to go talk to I reached out to him. And so, like I told you yesterday, the name of the company that I first started working for is Morrison Young. And so I have, I call him a mentor now. He's the CEO of the company, but Winty is such an amazing guy, and he's straightforward. And if you know, like a lot of the California folk, especially in Hollywood, they are straight up, you know, this guy, after he heard my music, he was like, man, that's super dope. Like, are you signed with anybody? And I was like, nah, bro. And so he was like, well, I'm about to sign you. And so I was like, okay. And so it really blew my mind, and it really humbled me, because a lot of times you feel like stuff don't go right, that you're not supposed to be doing it, but it might not just be the right time for you to do it. And so at this particular time, you know, I had been in a place to where, you know, my marriage was great. My family, my kids were great. My family became first. And so everything was in line and it was in order, and it was that time. And at that season, he signed me. And this company is one of the main companies that I get a lot of my placements from. Like I say, a wonderful company. Winty, him and DA are like some hardworking guys when it comes to shopping your stuff. And like I say, I'll answer questions about how sync works, you know, if y'all have questions about that, because sometimes you get lost and you won't understand where to go. Just like I was lost and I didn't understand where to go until I reached out to somebody, got the information I needed, and then somebody mentored me and helped me out. And then, hey, move forward. I have another friend that I have that's another mentor. His name is Jeff. And y'all will probably see him on here. I think he posted something on here earlier, but his name is Jeff Hargrove. Super talented producer and composer. And between him, Walter, and Winty, I would say my production has went to the next level. And then now that I connected with another guy named Nick Phelps, my production has went to another level. And you have to understand, man, you never too old to learn. And then there's no one that has ever made it 100%. And I'm saying, like, you just, you know, arrived. Nah, we continue to grow every day. So that's how you have to look at stuff. Like, we're going to grow every day. You're going to learn something new every day. There's always going to be somebody better than you that you can learn from. Don't be at the point to where you cannot take constructive criticism, or even just criticism in general. Even if you're thinking somebody tearing your song down, like, if there's somebody that's doing it and being successful at it, and that's one thing that my dad has always told me, if I want to be great at something, get around somebody that's greater than me. And that's what I do. I surround myself with somebody that's greater than myself. And the guys that I named are greater than me. They're better than me. And they have more experience than me. So they can help guide me in the right direction and take me to where I want to be. So that's basically how I got my foot in the door. And then after that, being consistent and turning in music like I'm supposed to. And that's why I'm doing these lives, because this is holding me accountable for turning this music in to Winty at the end of this week. So y'all seen how the process go. I'm gonna get on tomorrow and do another one. I'm gonna start working on some ideas. Like I said, I have to do 10 of them, which we call it completing the album, either 8 or 10 songs, or between 8 and 10 songs. That's usually how every music library likes it. Some might want you to do 5. They might want you to do a collaborative album where you might do 2-3 songs, somebody else do 2-3 songs. But majority of the time that I'm working, I do like complete albums for them and stuff like that. And that's why I like working for them, because they give me work, and they are hardworking, and they will get your music to where it needs to be. But again, you got to be consistent, and it has to be up to par. That means arrangement. That means mixing. That means everything. Even on your business side, there is a particular way that you have to talk and approach people. You can't have the mindset of, hey man, put me on. It don't work like that. And that's what I try to tell people too. Like, it's hard, but I got to keep it real with everybody. It's not like a, hey man, put me on type of thing. It don't work like that, because let's just say I did vouch for you and you made a mistake and did something or said something, then they're going to look at me like, man, they can't trust me for anything. And I understand why my mentors don't do that for me like that. Hey, I'm going to teach you what you need to do, and then you go do the work. I'm going to tell you what you need to say, and I'm going to tell you how to approach them. Go do it yourself, and then that's going to allow you to build that relationship that you need to build to where you can build that trust. It's not just built off of somebody else's word. So just encouragement to everybody. Anybody can do this if you have patience, perseverance, and if you have the talent to, produce. You can do that, And like I tell everybody, man, I'm available for questions and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to say I can sit up here and hang out with you because, again, like I tell everybody, my family comes first. And so my wife and my children, they have my time. But I don't mind, people asking questions. And, if I give you the answer, just go do the work and then come back and ask more questions after you do the work, So, again, the song that I showed y'all, it is pretty much finished. If you just listened to it today and you didn't listen to it from yesterday, go back to the live yesterday so you can hear how it started versus how it's basically finished. And I have like 2 more things to do on the song, and then I am done with it. But I'm about to be out. I'm about to go spend some time with my children before I got choir rehearsal and all kinds of stuff later on tonight. So y'all have a blessed one. If you have any questions, hit me up in the messages or what y'all say, the DMs. Hit me up in the direct messages if you have questions, and I will do my best to answer them in a timely manner. All right. Y'all have a blessed one. I will see y'all later. G Sharp, Sharp Boy Music, and we out. I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.